about 2.
What the fuck?
And I said, really? And she said, yeah, they were living on a commune in South America, and they had just cooked up, first of all, I don't even understand, like, why you would have mushrooms this way, but they had cooked up a magic mushroom omelet. And I had toddled into the kitchen, and I just ate the entire thing.
No!
Mm-hmm.
You ate the entire omelet?
That's what she says. And so I said, what happened? Like, what do you do? And she said that she took me down to the river and just held me for like 4 hours. And I just kind of stared at the water. And she said I was fine. She said I was happy. It was all okay. And then my biological father also wanted me to be part of the experience, and so when I was like 4 and 5, I participated in several ayahuasca ceremonies. Do you not know this?
I knew you were given psychedelics as a child, but I don't know the details.
Yeah. So I participated.
I didn't know it was ayahuasca. I thought it was acid.
No, I don't think I took acid when I was a little child. That's quite a statement to make.
But it's also like, it was such a normal statement you just said. Like, it didn't faze me. I didn't notice it as weird.
But at some level, just last year, I was talking to a fellow mom about this, and I realized that I think that maybe the combination of the mushrooms and the ayahuasca, like, it's always been just fundamentally clear to me that everything is connected, that all humans are connected, that we're connected to nature. That's never been, like, I never had a revelation about that. That was just the way it is. And it has occurred to me that maybe those early psychedelic experiences, like, because that's what people say psychedelic experiences do, right? They open your mind.
You to nature. I am with this tree.
Yeah, and they open your mind to that. And so the kind of, while I spent a lot of my young adulthood, my teens and young adulthood being, fairly pissed off about the neglect, what I considered to be the neglect, and I am not advocating this as a parenting philosophy, and have not exposed my children to psychedelics, but you're right. But I do, part of me thinks that maybe that having those early psychedelic experiences contributed to that understanding, is my only point.
So you took ayahuasca as a 4 and 5-year-old?
I did.
Do you remember this?
I do. Yes, I do. So particularly, we would all lie around in the brujo, who's the leader of it, in his hut, basically. And one time, I usually got a kiddie's gourd, which was I swear to God.
Oh, God, so fucking ridiculous. A kiddie's gourd? Were there other children?
No, it's just me.
And they called it the kiddie's gourd?
That's what I remember it as. Yeah. Yeah. But one time I drank from the grown-up's gourd. And what I remember of it was that my father found me far away from the hut. I had wandered away. And what I told him was that I was in a bombed-out building in Dresden. In Dresden, mind you.
Yeah, you said that word?
Yeah, and that I was next, but wait, it gets even weirder. I was next to a surgical operating table, but it was all okay because Frosty the Snowman was with me. Whoa. Yeah, isn't that trippy?
My hippie childhood home life was suburban compared to Saffron's cinematic psychedelic adventures, affirming my parents' dedication to stability, routine, and remaining invisible in order to successfully conduct business. Saffron's stories remind me how valuable it was to be unaware of my parents' illegal activities, and how valuable their sobriety was. I'm Rainbow Valentine, and this is Disorganized Crime. We'll be right back.
You've listened to every true crime podcast, lost days on the Zodiac Killer subreddit, and Googled so many serial killers you're probably on some watch list. By now you consider yourself a seasoned detective. There's just one thing missing. You've never been given a case to crack. Enter Solve, the world's first interactive murder mystery podcast that puts you at the center of the investigation. Each week on Solve, you'll be assigned a new case based on real true crimes that will test your skills as a detective. You'll interrogate new suspects, piece together evidence, and scour distinct crime scenes to track down murderers hiding in plain sight. Binge Solve now on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. One crime, 4 suspects. Can you solve it?
The Seventh Daughter.
I brought you here to prepare you, to condition your mind and body.
So why all the magic?
It is the family trade. I'm teaching you so that you will have the skills to survive. That is a gift from your family that I have been entrusted to deliver.
The Seventh Daughter. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
After Reagan's Anti-Drug Abuse Act laws of 86 and 88, the 3 Strikes You're Outlaw was passed in Washington state in 1993, followed by California in 1994. The 3 Strikes law significantly increases prison sentences of people convicted of a felony who've been previously convicted of 2 or more violent crimes or felonies, and limits the ability of these offenders to receive a punishment other than a life sentence. Now, possessing marijuana is still a felony, although it's gradually being decriminalized state by state, city by city. There are a huge number of people in prison for life because their 3rd strike felony was possessing pot. Here's our cannabis lawyer, Bill Panzer, telling me about 3 strikes and its ramifications.
So, what happened? What was the consequence of the 3 strikes law in California?
Well, I mean, it's, among other things, for other reasons too, it was filling up the prisons. Of course, it gets applied inequally. I mean, if you look at percentage of non-white people to white people in the general population, and then you look at percentage in the prison population, they ain't the same.
Right.
If you have, color is critical here, but the color that's critical is not white or black. The color that's critical is green.
Money.
And if you've got the money to afford representation and afford a good lawyer and all that, you're bound to do a lot better. Now, because of various socioeconomic, factors in the last 200 years in this country, there's a strong correlation between people with money and white people, and people without money and people of color.
Today, while it's still federally a Schedule I drug and possessing it a felony, 11 states have decriminalized cannabis. However, unfortunately, legalization has come with big corporations and big money, crushing small family farms, destroying the economics of small towns reliant on the pot industry, including much of Northern California. Today, many towns in California's Mendocino and Humboldt counties, once thriving with pot prosperity of the black market, are struggling with joblessness and poverty, manifesting in empty storefronts throughout the Emerald Triangle, the region's nickname. So obviously, cannabis is part of the fabric of Northern California, which brings me back to my pot smuggling parents. So after my dad quit smuggling, the 90s were tough financially, and it took a mental toll. But fortuitously, Marin County real estate appreciated, and my parents were able to live off their only asset, our Mill Valley home, until my dad successfully built his own legal business in sales. The Mill Valley house and its continuously growing value was like a bank account for many years, until the economy crashed in 2008, when my parents lost it. But their positive outlook and critical thinking skills enabled them to move forward without regret. Mill Valley and Marin County have changed from homespun hippie hamlets to uber-wealthy enclaves of investment bankers and techies, displacing my family, along with many psychedelic pioneers who moved further north to Sonoma, Mendocino, and Humboldt counties, and the Pacific Northwest. In the 30 years since my dad quit smuggling, he's lost and rebuilt everything at least 3 times. Because even though he quit smuggling, he never lost his love of the adrenaline rush from financial risk-taking. For years, Dad, accustomed to playing with money like Monopoly, couldn't resist investing in various smooth-talking scam artists and doomed entrepreneurs. In the early 2000s, my parents finally got married to each other, became grandparents, and reinvented themselves in hospitality. Today, they're in their 70s and once again emerging from total economic loss and starting a new business. They are tenacious, industrious, visionary Humpty Dumptys with absurd senses of humor, and in the darkest days, their cup remains half full. I'm at their house in Northern California, and it's shortly after my dad revealed to my mom that his smuggling partner Hi-Fi had been busted in 1992, a secret Dad buried for almost 30 years. So Dad's confession propelled my parents to call Hi-Fi to make amends. And incredibly, I got to be a fly on the wall for the singular moment. This is the first time they've spoken in 27 years. Not realizing my parents had begun the call with Hi-Fi, I started recording midway through their conversation after Hi-Fi's initial surprise at hearing from my dad had passed. You might hear a buzz, as technology, like people, is imperfect.
We just got through talking about you and my whatevers.
Ohio.
And so...
Ohio.
Oh, fucko.
Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's just like wrecked your life. We couldn't help you. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't tell her. I was too embarrassed and whatever. There's no excuse. I don't have any excuse for it other than I didn't tell her until just now. And it's kind of a good thing.
You feel a lot lighter, do you?
Well,
do you?
I listen.
He does.
I fucked up big time. That doesn't give you back your life.
No, it doesn't, and it never will. You know, that's gone. You know, it was and will never be.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got through that.
Well, it was a challenge.
Oh.
It kind of snowballed, and that is only one facet of.
Oh no.
Of my
downward slide.
Yeah. Well, one thing led to another, and it kind of that was the immediate problem, but there were other things that manifested.
Oh, how horrible.
Yeah, well, it's but it's like I said, it's history, it's.
Yeah, it is history, but it's lives and years.
Well, you can't change the lives in years, but we can be in the present and move forward.
Yeah, and that's what we've done, haven't we? And and we touched, we kind of, found each other again, so that's a positive thing. And,
yeah.
And who knows the future? I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, because if I did, I wouldn't be where I was. Well, I might be, but
I didn't know these guys. I vaguely knew them. It was.
So you threw me to the wolves?
No, man. Threw you to the wolves.
Thank you for not throwing us to the wolves.
Oh.
Thank you.
I still have very few words because I have so little to say. Well, I can say I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's kind of well, thank you.
It doesn't mean much at all.
Oh, it kind of does.
Well, you know me, and I don't believe I'm especially frivolous with my feelings, and the bullshit. Fuck. We're sort of we've grown a little older, and
you have.
He's found the fountain of youth. Did you find God too?
I'm working on it.